Hydraulic launch coasters were the pinnacle of coaster engineering in the 2000s. In fact, hydraulic launching roller coasters helped set multiple world records in the 2000s and even into the 2010s. But how do these coasters even work? And why are they so problematic? In this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know about hydraulic launching roller coasters, including how they work, the history of hydraulic launching roller coasters, and their inevitable downfall. So let's start with a brief history on hydraulic launching roller coasters. In 2002, the first ever hydraulic launching roller coaster was debuted, xcelerator at Knott's Berry Farm in California. xcelerator is actually one of the last hydraulic launching roller coasters still standing today, but we'll get more into that later. xcelerator stands at a height of 205 feet, and launches riders from 0 to 82 miles an hour in just 2.3 seconds. This is faster than any other launch roller coaster at the time, because the only other mainstream launch mechanism was LIMs, or linear induction motors. And LIMs could not launch coasters that fast, and a method of launching called a swing launch was used on most coasters with LIMs. Because of the insanely fast acceleration speed, xcelerator at Knott's Berry Farm was an instant hit. In fact, it was so popular that the ride's manufacturer Intamin actually named the model after xcelerator, thus giving the model name the Intamin Accelerator. Because of how popular xcelerator was, the company that owns Knott's Berry Farm, Cedar Fair, decided to buy another coaster of the exact same model the next year. But it would be nothing like xcelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, and that coaster is none other than
Top Thrill Dragster.
In 2003, the year after xcelerator was built, Cedar Point built Top Thrill Dragster, which was the tallest and fastest coaster, reaching a top speed of 120 miles an hour in just under 4 seconds, and then shooting up 420 feet into the sky. It was the world's first ever stratocoaster, or a coaster that reaches over 400 feet tall, and was also the first coaster to ever go over 100 miles an hour. Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point was an instant hit among fans. But that fame and glory wouldn't last for long, as in 2005, Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, decided they wanted to take that record. So they built none other than the king of all roller coasters, kingda. Kingda was built in 2005 with a top speed of 128 miles per hour and a height of 456 feet. Kingda was the coaster that ended the Coaster Wars, holding the world record for fastest coaster until 2010, and it held its record of the tallest roller coaster for 19 years until 2024, when it was permanently shut down. But why would you shut down the world's tallest roller coaster? Before we can truly understand why hydraulic launch coasters like Kingda were shut down, we first need to understand how exactly hydraulic launch coasters work. Hydraulic launch coasters use pressurized hydraulic fluid to launch coasters to their top speed. Hydraulic launching roller coasters are really just like other hydraulics, but used differently. First, hydraulic pumps will pump hydraulic fluid into several accumulators, and as the fluid is pumped into one compartment, compressed gas forms in the other compartment. Think of it like loading an old musket, but instead of gunpowder, it uses pressurized fluid and compressed gas. And after the gun is fully loaded and ready to shoot, or in this case when the hydraulics are ready to launch, the train will roll back slightly under a catch car that can be found on the launch track. Once the car is loaded onto the launch track, and all the sensors on the track are saying that everything's in order, the pressurized fluid in the hydraulic launch mechanism gets released. This fast-moving pressurized fluid then turns a drum. This drum has a giant cable on it that's connected to the catch car, which is connected to the train. The drum will start rapidly accelerating, taking the train with it. Put into complete simple terms, the launch mechanism is a gun, and the train that you're riding in is the bullet. Now you may be wondering, how does this system fail, and why have so many hydraulic launch coasters closed? The big reason many parks choose to close their hydraulic launching roller coasters is because of the cost of maintenance. Hydraulic launch coasters are not cheap nor easy to fix, and they have to be inspected every morning before they can operate. And while yes, all coasters have to be inspected before operation, the mechanisms of hydraulic launching roller coasters are way more advanced and require a closer inspection. On top of this, hydraulic launch coasters create a lot of friction, and all that friction can cause wear on all the parts. And these parts are not at all cheap. This is mainly due to the fact that the ride's manufacturer, Intamin, does not make this coaster model anymore, which means that they have to call up Intamin and ask for a new part for a coaster model they don't make anymore, which is not cheap. Now, maintenance isn't the only reason. The first reason is simply because of better, more modern technology. Nowadays, launch coasters are aimed with a thing called LSMs, or linear synchronous motors, which, while yes, they aren't as powerful as hydraulic launching roller coasters, they're way more reliable and way easier to maintain, as they use magnets attached to the bottom of the cars to accelerate the train. This means that there's way less moving parts, and not nearly as much wear and tear. But the other reason is a bit more unfortunate: accidents. There have been 2 major accidents with hydraulic launch coasters since their debut, and one of these accidents even caused the park to completely close the ride. The first of these accidents was with xcelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, the original hydraulic launch coaster, where in 2009, during the launch of the ride, the launch cable snapped, sending shrapnel everywhere. This seriously injured the riders in front row and also injured some of the other riders in the rows behind them. Now, this was a one-time issue for Xcelerator, but for a different coaster, it was not. Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point had this issue many times, though those stories haven't gained much traction now as there's never any recordings of them. The big incident that happened with Top Thrill Dragster was in 2021, when a metal piece of shrapnel flew off the ride train and hit a woman in the head. The person is still alive to this day, but has suffered serious brain injuries. Not much else is known about the incident, as the family has decided to keep quiet about it. But that incident was the nail in the coffin for Top Thrill Dragster. Although, unlike Kingda, it was reimagined with a swing launch and linear synchronous motors. Due to all these issues with hydraulic launching roller coasters, there are actually only 3 hydraulic launch coasters left in America, and very few left in the entire world. And that concludes this video about hydraulic launch roller coasters. I hope you learned something, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing.